wrestler, actor, governor of Minnesota, visiting fellow at Harvard, and TV host. Jesse Ventura adds, truth seeker. His best-selling books include Don't Start the Revolution Without Me and American Conspiracies. In his latest, 63 Documents the Government Doesn't Want You to Read, Jesse challenges the official spin, excuse me, I'm out of breath from running, on some of the government's most incriminating secrets. Although these documents are now in the public domain, the powers that be would just assume that you don't read them. Today we'll find out why and why it matters. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jesse Ventura.
Thank you. Great to be here. I haven't been back to Philadelphia for quite some time. In fact, probably the last time I was here, the Spectrum was still in operation. So I think the Spectrum's been gone a while, right? Yeah, to my knowledge. So yeah, that's probably how long it's been since I wrestled at the Philadelphia Spectrum many years ago. It's great to be here, but I'll talk a little about this book for a moment. We felt we had to follow up my last book, which was called American Conspiracies, because it's interesting. Today, if you question our government or you question any official story, you get labeled. You become what they call a conspiracy theorist. And then everybody starts looking at you or says, well, you got to be strange, you got to be crazy, you got to be all these things, because after all, our government wouldn't lie to us. Our government wouldn't deceive us at all. And so why do you ask these crazy questions and all this stuff or write these crazy things? All it does is cause trouble from the official storyline. So after writing American Conspiracies, Dick Russell and I, our last book, Skyhorse Publishing came up with the idea. I give them credit. They thought, to back up all the things in conspiracy theory, maybe we ought to do a book on government documents. And I can tell you, we started this book before WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks happened while we were doing this book. And of course, my co-writer Dick Russell and I were ecstatic when WikiLeaks happened. Not only would it put it to the front burner, with all the publicity and our book following with it, but we also were able to use WikiLeaks for some of the documentation now, because I will tell you, all 63 of these documents are in the public domain. There's none that are classified top secret. We haven't broken any laws. I don't think I have to worry about going to prison for writing this book. But you know what? In the United States of America today, it's not beyond belief that I might. That's the kind of trouble we're in today, people. It's great to be here in Philadelphia, because this is the birthplace of our nation. And this is where our forefathers created our great country. And I don't think they had in mind all the secrecy that we look at today. Food for thought. Last year alone, our government classified top secret, so you and I can't read them, 16 million documents. Million, people, not thousand, million. That must be just about every document they put out, I had to figure. I mean, that's a lot of documents that you and I can't read. And I question why I can't. After all, when I was in the Navy SEALs, I had a top secret security clearance, which should allow me, right, to read anything top secret. And I've been a mayor and a governor. But that's the past now. Now I'm back being a regular citizen. So apparently now I can't know. Unless you hold office or are in the military, all of a sudden I guess your security clearance goes out the window, And so in doing this book also, I will tell you, it was not fun. It was not enjoyable. Because as I started, and let me give kudos to my co-writer Dick Russell, because he is the researcher. We make a great team. I don't have the patience. to dig through and research. Dick finds the documents, presents them to me, and I read them and write about them, or give my opinion of them, or whatever it may be. You'll see. And the great thing about the book is I don't just tell you about the documents in this book. You're not just getting my opinion on them. We have reprinted them all so that you, the reader, can read for yourself, judge for yourself, and come to your own opinion about the documents. But again, it was not a fun thing to do it because, quite frankly, it's disturbing. And don't get me wrong, we have many fine individuals in our government. Patriotic, hardworking, but also this book will show you that we have evil in our government. No matter how much we want to believe, and that's a problem I think that we have in our country today, is realizing that yes, our government can be evil. We are not the ray of hope we used to be. Throughout the world before, people used to look to the United States as being this beacon of hope. And all other countries they wanted to become us. I don't believe that's true anymore. In fact, I live in Mexico now half the year, way down 850 miles down to Baja. I live an hour from pavement and an hour from electricity when I'm down there. Now I have electricity. My house is completely solar. I live completely off the sun, and the Baja is a great place to do that because they claim there's only 5 cloudy days there a year, so you get plenty of sunlight for that. But one of the disturbing things, I've been down there now 6 years, 7 years it's going on, and I spend half the year there and half the year in my home state of Minnesota. And the disturbing thing I saw was a few years ago, a lot of young Mexican kids wearing T-shirts that had a picture of George W. Bush on it, and the caption on the T-shirt said, "Weapon of mass destruction." That's our reputation now, worldwide, people. I wish everyone in America could go live abroad and have the good fortune to do it for half a year. And you would find now that they no longer look at the United States with hope. They now look at the United States with fear. Fear that if they cross us, they could be invaded, have their government overthrown, and be occupied. And I will say this, and believe me, I'm an equal opportunity despiser. I despise the Republican Party as much as the Democratic Party. I am the independent. They are not the solution, they are the problem. And I'll tell you what, we can solve the problem, ladies and gentlemen. And it's as simple, I'll use a couple cliches here, it's as simple as the nose on your face, but the fact is, you can't see the forest for the trees. It's a simple answer. Stop voting for Democrats and Republicans, both. I like to refer to them as, in this aspect, it's like going to the supermarket and go to the soft drink department. And you go to the soft drink department and your only 2 choices are Coke and Pepsi. There's no Mountain Dew, there's no 7-Up, there's no root beer, there's no orange, anything like that. What you have is Coke and Pepsi, both colas. One slightly sweeter than the other, depending on your taste buds. But that's what you've got today, people. I'm so disappointed in President Obama, I can't tell you how disappointed I am. He ran on change we can believe in. Where is it? I haven't seen any change. In fact, we were supposed to close Gitmo and be out of the wars. Now what are we doing? We're holding military tribunals at Gitmo, and we're in a 3rd war. Well, it clearly lets me know, or fills in one of my conspiracy theories, that maybe the president doesn't really run our country today. Maybe the president gets there and they show him the Zapruder film and say, think about that for a moment, Mr. New President. I don't know. I ain't been president. They didn't do that to me as a governor, but then again, governors don't do foreign policy and the rest of it. But that's the only real conclusion I can make, because I don't believe Barack Obama's a dishonest man. I just wonder why he's not following through on everything he talked about what he was going to do when he got in. And so that's the dilemma we're faced with, people, of taking back our country. And we need to be vigilant, because in a democracy like ours, if we as citizens are not vigilant, we will have bad government. If you don't hold people's feet to the fire, you will get bad government. But unfortunately, how can you hold people's feet to the fire when they withhold documents from you and classify 16 million of the things they do they don't let you see? And you have every right to see them. Do you know why? Now, granted, as a former Navy SEAL, I know that there's certain things you can't reveal to the public because it could put people in jeopardy. But once the operation's over in due time, it should come to the public. Once it's done, and no one's held that way in jeopardy anymore. But it's important, again, for us to be vigilant. I know. You want to know why we have every right to see every document that the government has? We pay taxes. It's done with our tax dollars, and we have every right to know what they do with our tax money and how it's spent. And when you get to this book, when you read these documents, I hope that you become as upset as I did in doing it and reading the documents and seeing some of the crazy things that our government has spent your tax dollars on and what they're currently spending them on. Your government now is spending your money to watch you. You're under surveillance today. Now, how bad is that when you're paying for your own surveillance? It's bad enough to be under surveillance, but then when you realize that they're reaching into your pocket, pulling out your wallet, and making you pay for it too, that should outrage you. I hope this book makes you angry. I hope this book stirs you up. I really do. That's what I hope for. That's why I wrote it, Dick Russell and I, was to hopefully open the eyes. You know, when I live in Mexico every winter now, I don't watch TV. I'll tell you how bad it is for me. I didn't learn that there was an earthquake in Japan until 5 days after it happened. When I live down there, I live in eyesight. The only thing I know about, I do it by choice. The only thing I know about is what I can see. And I do that, I call it flushing my brain out. You know, and I didn't know that we went to war in Libya now until 5 days after the war. See, I learn all this. I go to town once a week. And that's kind of where I go, and all of a sudden I start learning what's going on here back in the United States, and I start learning about what the news is bringing forth for us. And in fact, that's another thing, people. The media. Let me go to them for a moment here. You're not going to see any of these documents brought forth by the media, the mainstream media. I won't classify all media, but the mainstream media. After all, they have to report important things to you, like what's happening with Charlie Sheen. You know? Damn, that's important. We need to know that. And here's the one that got me the most. You'll all remember about a year and a half ago when for 30 to 45 days straight, every newscast lead story, the death of Anna Nicole Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the dumbing down of America.
Wrestler challenges the official spin, excuse me, I'm out of breath from running, on some of the government's most incriminating secrets. Although these documents are now in the public domain, the powers that be would just assume that you don't read them. Today we'll find out why and why it matters. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jesse Ventura, actor, governor of Minnesota, visiting fellow at Harvard, and TV host. Jesse Ventura adds Truth Seeker. His best-selling books include Don't Start the Revolution Without Me and American Conspiracies. In his latest, 63 documents the government doesn't want you to read, Jesse...
Thank you.